Hey guys, what's going on? It's been a while, but part of that's due to there's not a whole lot going on since we're still just ticking along, waiting for spring to really get rolling as far as some growth going. And not only that, but we've been so windy lately that it hasn't really been conducive to film anything as far as an audio quality goes. But let me get you turned around here. Ready to start heading back to the east. Still supplementing on the hay just because the dry and stuff has just not taken off yet. Sheep are definitely starting to get fat and pregnant. So that's always a good thing. One thing I really wanted to kind of show, I'll have to actually turn the camera around. With this wind we've been having, you can see here, not great ground cover, but this dirt isn't going to move. This is where I would have fail processed when we had the cattle out here. And just on a squirrel moment, side note, okay, look at the difference in growth from that rye to that rye. So you got that there to that there. That's probably double, triple the size, with the only difference being the carbon. I will continue to harp on that the carbon is the key to the system. But I wanted to come over here, so bear with me, I gotta walk a little bit. So they were just in this part yesterday. They were pretty loose in here. This was a bigger area than what a lot of the spots have been. But we'll come over here and look how bare this is. We'll do a fence line comparison. You can compare this, right? The wind's been blowing, but this hasn't had the livestock grazing on it. This hasn't had the sheep grazing on it. So you come over here, and with this wind, unfortunately, the sheep just knock the residue loose, essentially, and the wind just takes it. You get over here, it gets really sparse. And make no mistake, right now, the grazing we're doing is not about soil health. It is about keeping the sheep fed. Unfortunately, I'm trying to do as good a job as I can as far as getting them off stuff. This is obviously a high traffic area, high campsite, and they would have only had access to this spot for, 3-4 days. So to me, that's why it is super, super critical to keep them moving. To keep the paddock moving, because it just, having them on one area, they can strip the residue so fast, especially with this wind. That is why out west, western part of the state, southwest Kansas, Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma Panhandle, that is why when they've been as dry as they are, is that you have livestock out on that land, which I'm not blaming anybody. You got to feed the livestock, and if you're out grazing, that's what you got to do. But if we can't maintain the residue with this wind, we had decent residue. Go ahead and flip you around again. This is another spot. I mean, it had pretty decent cover before the sheep came into here, but they get to walking, just being sheep, and the residue just starts moving with the wind that we've been having lately. This is really, really good fence line comparison. Where the sheep were, look at all the residue. Right, this is not moving. This has not hardly moved. The residue's moved a little bit with the wind we've had. Where the sheep were. Night and day difference. So it's just something we have to take into account. Now granted, it is springtime. The rye is already coming back. Already regrowing. And I mean, yeah, there's just, see, you just get to another spot and you just move backwards and the rye just coming right back. It'd be nice if we could get some kind of moisture event. We've missed a lot of them. But I mean, even here, so we got a lot of bare ground. And in this part of the field, I really don't think we had that much bare ground before the sheep came in to graze. And this area probably would have been one of the areas when we really started having those windy days where we had the 30 plus mile per hour with 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts. Because you get back over in here, it's fine, but it's because the sheep were not actively on it while we had all these wind events. I mean, in here we've had some residue moving, but luckily the rye is coming up nice and vigorous. So yeah, you start getting back here, and even if the residue did move and the sheep weren't back here, it's not as much because the sheep weren't on it while we were having those wind events. So might go finish taking some down. We'll run over and look over here, see how the rye is coming up to stuff that was bale processed over a month ago already. So this is one of the things I love about species like rye. If you really look close, you can tell it was grazed. But if you're just walking by, you really can't tell. I mean, like I said, we could get a little moisture. We have pretty good subsoil moisture. But what we're lacking right now is just some heat units. Today it was supposed to be 68 and not even close. Probably 20 degrees short of that. So stuff's going to struggle to really get going and get up and take off. And it shows. Like I said, that's why we're still supplementing with the oat hay, just because there is not the forage available yet. This is a spot that I just put out an oat bale. Clearly, we are better off using the bale processor. It works a lot better. The rye has plenty of opportunity to get up, get going through it. So yeah, when you see how dirty it's been in western Kansas, on the western high plains, you gotta understand they are super dry. They've been super dry, and there's basically not going to be a dry land winter wheat crop out in a lot of that part of the world. And so when people say, oh, they need to just plant cover crops, a lot of times planting the cover crops might be the worst thing they can do, especially in a year like this, because it'll cut loose any stubble, any cover they have left from hopefully a successful or semi-successful crop. So in their context, like I said, when it's super dry, that residue is as good as anything that they can do, because even if they put the seed out there, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to grow. I mean, hell, we have a hard time getting a good stand around here a lot of times. Well, not a lot of times, I shouldn't say that, but plenty of times. It's just how it is, especially in the fall here lately. It's hard to get something established and actually get some good growth on it like we had the first couple of years. It's the second year in a row now where we just have not had the moisture in the fall. So really making me reevaluate how we plan our forage sequence as far as what we use. And that's the other thing, the stuff that I planted, the rye that I planted that first weekend of March, it still hasn't came up because we haven't had enough heat units. But it's one of those things, you got to get it in the ground, because if we get wet, you'll never get it in the ground. So I don't know, it's a challenge, but It's a learning experience. That's all you can do is try and live and learn and try better the next year. So I'll quit ranting with that. If you see this in Ottawa County Conservation District, we're having a little get together tomorrow night at the farm downtown Minneapolis. First drink is on us. It's going to be really informal, be about an hour and a half. So hope to see any of you guys there, producers there that are interested in discussing soil health, whether that's be no-till, cover crops, grazing, whatever you want. It's pretty informal. Like I said, it's just a chance for producers to network. So appreciate you guys watching. As always, hit that like button, subscribe. See you next time, guys.